Howdy, folks. I'm Cryptic Cygnus, coyly creating clever codes.
I'm Amber.
And here are more clever codes for us to make as geese.
Swan?
Swans. Swans and geese, what's the difference? Nothing. They're birds, and birds don't exist. Let's get started. Reporting the things that the government doesn't want you to know. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for charging my adult stepson rent for the time that he didn't have a steady income? My husband has 2 kids from a previous marriage. Andy is a 26-year-old male who moved back in after he got discharged from the military. I don't know the specifics, but when he came home, he wasn't cleared from work or for driving by his doctors, and his case was still being reviewed for monthly compensation. My husband didn't want him to dip into his savings just yet, so he walked some dogs, babysat, and did some similar odd jobs to get some money to pitch in with gas and groceries here and there when he could. We discussed with Annie, and that whenever he did start getting a stable income, that he would have to start paying rent and helping with the bills. Andy agreed. Andy had his case settled and received a back payment for the time that he was discharged to current time. Upon learning that, I gave Andy a list of expenses for the time that we supported him, namely rent for the 15 months and a portion of the utilities, and it came out to around $7,000. Andy told me that I was more or less a jerk for keeping a running tab of everything while he was at his lowest, but he paid me the money right away. However, when he told my husband that he would be finding someplace else to live and started packing everything up and had a friend take him to put his things in storage, my husband is furious and said that I should have talked to him before deciding to charge his son back rent in his house. I told him that I live here too and contribute to the finances and that Andy is an adult, not a child or someone who just turned 18. He's practically a tenant. $465 a month was better than Andy would find anywhere else. My husband said it's not about the amount, but nickel and diming Andy like that was just scummy. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think?
Yes, of course you're the jerk. I don't even think this is legal. First of all, if you are charging someone rent, you have to let them know beforehand. You can't just be like, oh, well, by the way, I'm now all of a sudden charging you this back rent. You said once you are able to work, you'll have to pay rent.
Yeah.
You didn't say, I'm writing you, you owe me for this month, this month, this much. If you had said that up front, that would have been one thing. But to go ahead and be like, oh yeah, now that you have this money, I'm charging you all this back rent. And on top of that, she didn't even talk to her husband, who was the other person in this household. And this is his kid, so if anything, he should have more say than OP and whether they get paid back or not. It just seems very shady all around.
Well, I hope $7,000 is worth the marriage, because I can't imagine that this is going to go over very well, and it's going to probably eat at the husband a lot, because now his son is going to feel alienated. His son's going to feel like he doesn't have a place that he can turn to, and that's probably not going to go well with his dad, right?
Yeah, it's going to strain the relationship between Andy and his dad, a lot, and it certainly has basically decimated any relationship Andy had with OP.
Yeah.
And so hopefully OP's husband chooses his son over OP, who it sounds like is just, I understand finances, can be tough and whatnot, but again, you don't get to make unilateral decisions. You don't get to change the terms of the agreement after the fact.
Yeah, well, and then also take a look at what OP's done here. They've taken somebody who was serving in the military, is now getting disability.
Yep.
And then it's like, you actually owe us all this money that they probably need to help establish their future, right?
Yep.
So they're taking somebody and hamstringing them even further when they're already in a fragile state.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do think it's scummy. I think that OP really only thought about the dollar bills here instead of thinking about what was best for their stepson.
Well, it's clear they don't see Andy as a person worthy of their time. They're just a nuisance and a burden, and they're only concerned about making their money back.
Yeah. Well, let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck
to Andy.
And Flickeneld says, info. Do you know how much Andy's settlement was? And OP replies, I do, since our bank accounts are linked through the same bank. He got about $36,000 as a back payment and will get about $2,400 a month. The debts my husband unilaterally decided to pay were to the tune of $21,000. And Doomsday Spud says, you didn't mention any debts in your post. What are you talking about? And OP replies, yes, only had a 3,000 character limit. When Andy moved in with us, my husband paid off all of Andy's debts to the tune of $21,000 without having a discussion about it with me. It severely set us back and continued to pay for Andy's necessities, which was fine and great, but would not entertain a conversation about maybe getting generic brands, not needing all the same services. And Pure Aid 51987 says, he sounds like a great dad. How much do you contribute to the finances compared to your husband out of interest? And OP replies, every penny of my $32,000 salary goes into our joint accounts to help pay for everything. I mean, this is getting a little complicated.
Well, it's only getting complicated in that Opie's husband is a jerk too.
Yeah.
You should not be making unilateral decisions with shared finances.
Yeah.
So I certainly understand being upset and frustrated that the husband is making unilateral decisions, but the person to take that up with is the husband. The person to try to get money out of is the husband. It's not Andy who was, and it sounds like she wanted Andy to have like cheaper quality products too. Like, oh, well, he costs us money, so he doesn't deserve name brands. He should only have generics and he shouldn't have the same services we do.
Yeah.
Like, her disregard for Andy is very upsetting and not a good attitude for a parent. Her husband's disregard for her is very upsetting and not a good attitude for a spouse.
Yeah.
Honestly, you two are probably better off not being together.
Well, and I can also understand her frustration at having so much money taken out of their shared accounts that she contributes every penny to. And unfortunately, OP didn't specify how much their husband makes, because that could actually shed a lot onto this whole situation, right?
Well, I think she didn't do it intentionally. I imagine the husband out earns her significantly.
And Wilbur Cobb says, did you guys even need the money? Did it cause you a financial hardship? If not, then yeah, you're the jerk. And OP replies, yes, we did, because my husband paid off $21,000 of Andy's debt when he got home. And no, my husband did not talk to me about doing it before. Between that and covering his necessities that weren't the house bills and the car repairs, driving him to his appointments, we've been bad off financially. If we had the combined income that we had a few years ago, or even him not paying off his debts, then we would have been fine and would not have asked for the back pay. So it sounds like they aren't actually doing so well financially, and he just paid off $21,000 worth of Andy's debts.
Yeah, which again, like, he should not have done, but also, OP, you need to understand, if you expect payment, you need to, like, let the person know up front that you're, like, expecting that.
And I think this comment can kind of stand on its own. And OP replies to some long chain, I would be fine with returning half if the full amount is still there, and insisting that we absolutely have to have separate finances from now on. It's very admirable, and I support him wanting to help the boys, however, or whenever he can. But between this is my house attitude, while needing me to help pay all the costs because he wanted a different job, and our savings, just gone due to him making unilateral decisions to help the boys on a whim, I want a nest egg. I would like to not continue living paycheck to paycheck as we have been, and to be able to pay my parents back so that they're secure. Yeah, this isn't good relationship at all.
No, yeah, definitely separate finances if you even want to stay in the relationship. Again, it does not sound like a healthy relationship at all, but the way to deal with people making unilateral decisions is not to go making more unilateral decisions.
Yeah.
And again, the husband is the one. It sounds like he gave Andy things without even Andy necessarily asking them or being aware of what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so the person to be upset with is your husband.
Oh, yeah.
The person to take it out on is your husband. If you expect anyone to pay back the $7,000, it should be the husband.
Yeah.
You know, but again, Andy was not told that he was going to owe money during this period of time. That was never made clear to him. So it is scummy to take a big chunk of his money without giving him advance warning that you expect this.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wasn't expecting them to be financially, in a hard spot with kind of the way OP was talking originally. And the fact that it comes out in the comments that they paid off $21,000 of Andy's debt. I think that really should have been a discussion ahead of time and say, look, we'll give you a loan and you can pay us back or something like that.
Absolutely, and that would have been reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, but a $21,000 gift when they're living paycheck to paycheck? No, I mean, that's completely irresponsible.
It sounds like OP's husband makes a lot of unilateral decisions, like deciding
Yeah.
to change his job and make a lot less money,
Yeah.
to giving the kids expensive things they can't afford. Like, it does not sound like he respects OP at all, and OP deserves a partner who is going to respect her.
Yeah.
It doesn't make what she did to Andy right, and that's
No,
certainly not
no.
excusable, but you do not have to stick with a person who is going to treat you like your opinions don't matter and they are just going to spend all your money because they can.
Yeah. I really wish OP had said some more of that in the original letter. It would have made things a lot more clear judgment to begin with. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, I'm a 30-year-old female and my fiance, a 31-year-old male, doesn't want me to know where he lives and the company that he works at. Should I be worried? We are a couple months away from our wedding. We are a long-distance relationship for 2.5 years. I'm from Asia and he's from the US. He has paid me for a few visits and knows where I live and work. I work in a corporate company with a decent salary. I do know that he's a software engineer in his city. We video call every single day. Prior to the engagement, I asked him about his address because I wanted to send gifts to him, and I'm naturally a thoughtful person, but he declined. A few months after the engagement, I asked him again, but he still declined. Last night, I asked him again, and he said that he will tell me days before the wedding. I feel hurt about this because I have been very transparent with him with all the things that he wants to know about me. I think that I deserve to know this, and also the assurance for me that he has a decent job and not a shady business or is hiding something from me. We also agreed not to divulge each other's salaries and savings until I move in with him, which I'm okay with. He's a great person and I love him so much. Should I be worried and push to get some more info? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, definitely be worried. Do not marry someone who will not tell you what they do for work, who will not tell you where they live, is just expecting to move you in like a couple weeks before the wedding. Like, all of this is giant red flags.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if OP's husband is planning on moving in with OP in Asia, wherever they're living at, that might be a little bit of a different situation. However, OP, if they are planning on moving in with him, then they should definitely at least be able to see his house, see what they're kind of getting themselves into, his financial situation.
Right, you don't want to marry someone if you have no idea of their finances. That is not a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think that paints a difficult, puts OP in a difficult spot. Like, not everything needs to be about money for relationships, but if your partner isn't upfront about their financial situation, then you may, like, say he has $1 million worth of debt.
Yeah, and then you're going to be on the hook for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the thing is like when you choose to marry someone, you need to know full well what their debt burden is, what their assets are, because you are going to be on the hook for that
Yeah.
legally.
So I think also having a lot of conversations may be necessary if they haven't had conversations about like what the expectation for the household is for kids or any of those kinds of things. Then it may really be worth having some deeper conversations before getting married. But him visiting you a couple of times and then you two getting hitched doesn't necessarily sound healthy. It sounds like
No.
it could be putting you in danger or at a risk.
Yeah, I am very worried for OP's safety here. Like, there's just so little she knows about this man. You know, I even wonder if he has some kind of scheme going on here.
Yeah, well, what happens if this whole wedding thing is a trafficking thing?
Yeah, that was my big immediate concern.
Like, what happens if he's inviting OP, like, she goes over to get married in the US, and then the next thing she knows, she's being trafficked, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he might present himself really nicely when he's over in OP's home, but that doesn't mean that he's not playing the long game here, right?
Right, like has he invited? It sounds like they're probably getting married in the U.S. Has he invited OP's family? You know, is he bringing them over for the wedding, or is OP coming solo
Mm-hmm.
to get hitched and then start this new life in America?
Yeah. So I would be very cautious if I were OP here, and I would think a lot about this situation and make sure that they're not getting themselves into something that's going to be terrible, right?
Right. And I mean, even if he's not trying to traffic her, which is a good chance he isn't, it definitely sounds like he's either one, doesn't trust OP, which is not a good thing for someone you're marrying.
Yeah,
Like, he should trust you enough to tell you basic information about him.
Yeah.
Or two, he is doing something really shady and you do not want to be involved in it.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she allegedly has a joke.
Why did the hammerhead show up at the casino?
Well, because it needed to break some kneecaps, because last time it showed up to the casino, it lost a lot of money, and Frankie wasn't happy about that, and now it's exacting its revenge.
Because they were a card shark.
Well, there you go. One card shark later, and then many broken kneecaps later, we have a joke. And I have licorice spice. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy special Sunday! And folks, you know what makes it special? You do. And Amber too.
And Brian too.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it involve relationships and money.
When you are in a relationship, a serious relationship with someone, it is important to, one, know their financial situation, and two, to make financial decisions together, especially if they involve shared finances.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!